Mr. Speaker, at this last question time before the recess, can I remind the Prime Minister of what he said before the election when he was asked why he wanted to be Prime Minister? He paused, and with characteristic humility, he said, because I think I'd be good at it. Mr. Speaker, where did it all go wrong?
It is this government that has capped benefits, that's capped immigration, that's taken 2 million people out of tax, that's cut taxes for 25 million people, that's cut the fuel duty, increased spending on the NHS, and cut the deficit by 25% in 2 years. I can't read out the list of all the things he got wrong. We haven't got time.
Mr. Speaker, they're obviously well whipped today. It's a shame it didn't happen last night. Now, Mr. Speaker, last night he lost control of his party, and not for the first time, he lost his temper as well. Because we understand it was fisticuffs in the lobby with the member for Hereford and South Hertfordshire. I noticed, by the way, that the posh boys have ordered him off the estate today because he doesn't seem to be here. Who does the Prime Minister blame most for the disarray in his government? The Liberal Democrats or his own backbenchers?
Oh dear. If the best he can do today is a bunch of tittle-tattle and rumour, how utterly pathetic. On the day we're introducing social care reform that's going to help people up and down our country, and we get this sort of half-baked gossip. Let me say this to them about House of Lords reform. If we want to see House of Lords reform, all of those who support House of Lords reform need to not only vote for House of Lords reform, but support the means to bring that reform about. He came to the House of Commons yesterday determined to vote yes and then vote no. How utterly pathetic.
Miliband. Speaker, it's the same old story with the Prime Minister. He blames everybody other than himself. The government's a shambles and he blames the leader of the opposition. That is what it has come to. But, Mr. Speaker, his problems didn't start last night. They started months ago with the part-time Chancellor's budget. Because they make the wrong choices and they stand up for the wrong people. So can he remind us, after all the budget U-turns, why he still thinks it's right to give a banker earning £1 million a £40,000 income tax cut next April?
It was the Chancellor's budget that cut taxes for 25 million working people, that took 2 million people altogether out of tax, and has left us with a top rate of tax which was higher than any of the times he or his neighbour were in the Treasury, literally wrecking the British economy.
No answer on his millionaire's tax cut, and we're going to keep asking the question between now and next April because he's got no answer. He's raising taxes on ordinary families, he's raising taxes on pensioners, and he's cutting taxes on millionaires. They say they're not raising taxes. Can he therefore explain what has not been explained? He says weak, by the way. What could be weaker than having 91 people vote against you in the House of Commons? Can he explain what has not been explained since the budget? Why is it fair, when you're cutting taxes for millionaires, to ask pensioners to pay more?
Prime Minister. What we did in that budget was increase pensioners' weekly income by £5.30, the biggest increase in the pension's history. But let me repeat, what the budget did was cut taxes for every working person in the country, take 2 million people out of tax. The top rate of tax change was paid more than 4 times over by the richest people in our country, and that compares with what we were left by the party opposite. The biggest bust, the most indebted households, the biggest budget deficit in Europe, and never once an apology for the mess they left this country in.
Mr. Speaker, no answer on the disarray in his government, no answer on the tax cut for millionaires, no answer on the tax rise for pensioners. Perhaps he has an answer on the biggest issue of all. In his New Year message, he said this: "We've got to do more to bring the economy back to health." And what has he delivered since then? A double-dip recession made in Downing Street. Isn't the reality the biggest failure facing this government is not the programme motion on Lord's reform, it's their whole economic plan?
It's under this government we've got 800,000 more private sector jobs. Inflation is down, unemployment is down, interest rates are at a record low. We are now a net exporter of cars at the first time since 1976. We've completed the biggest construction project in Europe, which is the Olympics. We've started the next biggest project, which is Crossrail. It's this government that set up the enterprise zones, that has backed the apprenticeships, that is seeing business actually rebalance in this country. And we will never forget what we were left by the party opposite. They were bailing out Eurozone countries with taxpayers' money. They were paying £100,000 for just one family's housing benefit. They had uncontrolled welfare, uncontrolled immigration, uncontrolled government spending. Never has so much been borrowed, never has so much been wasted, never have so many people been let down. And this country will never forgive them for what they did.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the redder he gets, the less he convinces people. And it's the...
Order! Members on order! Members on both sides of the House now need to calm down. That's all there is to it. Ed Miliband.
Mr. Speaker, and it's the same lecture we've had on the economy for the last 2 years, and things are getting worse, not better. And every time he gets up with that list of statistics, he just shows how out of touch he is. Tax cuts for millionaires, double-dip recession, U-turn after U-turn after U-turn isn't the truth. He didn't just lose the confidence of his party last night, he's losing the confidence of the country.
There's only one person who's red round, and that is Red Ed running the Labour Party. Who backed Red Ken Livingstone? They did. Yeah. Who backed Red Len McCluskey? He did. Who opposed every measure to deal with the deficit? Who proposed £30 billion of more spending? Who's given the unions even more say?
I apologise. Order! I said it a moment ago, the Prime Minister's answers must, and however long it takes, they will be heard. The Prime Minister.
Let's take what he's done in the last year. Opposed an immigration cap, opposed a welfare cap, opposed a housing benefit cap, opposed every single measure to cut the deficit. We know what he's against, but when on earth are we going to find out what he's for?